Well, hello everyone. Today's video is all about mistakes. On this channel, I've talked about different astronomical objects you should look at, the type of equipment you should purchase, the images that I've been able to take, but I've never talked about mistakes. Mistakes that I've done in my journey in astronomy and astrophotography. And I wanted to share that with you today because I feel that not only does one learn from the successes, they also learn from the mistakes. And therefore, this video will go into some of the mistakes that I've made in this journey of mine in astronomy and astrophotography. If you like such videos or you want to see more videos on this topic, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you back real soon. And welcome back. This video, as previously discussed, is all about mistakes, but it's going to be a twist on this. This video will be about mistakes that I've made in chronological order. So the mistakes that I made from when I really decided to make this into a hobby that I'm interested in, all the way to now and the mistakes that I made, that I've gathered some more experience, a bit more knowledgeable. So in the very beginning, when I really decided to turn this into a hobby, one of the mistakes that I made was I got a telescope that was difficult to move around. So you notice in past videos, or at least a good portion of my videos, whenever I talk about telescopes, I always mention get a telescope that in essence is easy to use. Well, when I really got into this hobby, I made that mistake. I ended up getting a Newtonian telescope, and it was a great telescope, but it was heavy. I was dealing with stairs, and therefore the telescope never was used. And what ended up happening is that I just used, in essence, my cats used it as something to jump on, which really didn't do me or the telescope any good. And therefore, if I had to do it all over again, I would have gotten the telescope that I could easily carry, which actually ended up happening. And that's the biggest mistake. And that's one reason why I've always gone to these videos whenever I talk about telescopes, to always mention get a telescope you know you are going to use. Even though it might be a weaker telescope in terms of aperture, you might not get a lot of sunlight, or, well, if you're dealing with a telescope, or you're getting enough light if you're dealing with looking at images at night, you are going to use it. And that is the most important thing. If you have to give up aperture in order to use it, do that. Because if you don't, it's just going to sit there. So that was one mistake that I made. The second mistake was I felt that I had to learn everything on my own. I was afraid to make mistakes. But more importantly, I felt that I was alone. So if you are, or you can use Lord Google, or use Lord DuckDuckGo, or whatever search engine you decide to use. There are clubs, there are organizations out there to help you learn about astronomy. You don't have to go out on your own and try to learn everything. There are astronomy clubs, and I've been in a few astronomy clubs at this point, and people have been more than willing to help answer any questions that you have, and understanding that you're not going to learn everything at once. You are going to make mistakes, which is part of the reason why I'm making this video. You are going to make mistakes, and to take advantage of the resources or individuals that are out there to answer any questions that you have. The third mistake that I made, or at least I want to mention in this video, is to have expectations. When one really gets interested in astronomy or astrophotography, you're seeing all these wonderful images, either from NASA or professional astrophotographers, and you're like, wow, when I start doing that, it's going to look exactly like that. No. It's not going to look like that. Mainly because some subset are done by NASA and the second subset are done by actual professionals. Your images, while looking amazing, are in both visual and in astrophotography, they will not look like NASA images. Unless you have the resources of NASA, they are not going to look like that. Now, they'll still be wonderful images. My point is that don't be disappointed when you go out and you see Saturn. It's like, well, it's not what I saw in the NASA photo. Or you decide to take a picture of the Andromeda galaxy and you see it's not what it looks like from NASA, or this astrophotographer who's been doing it for 20 years. It doesn't look like that. That's not the point. The point is to go out and just love what the night sky, or even the sun, if you're in a solar astronomy or solar astrophotography, what they have to offer, and just go out and just observe and just slowly try to improve. How should I say? Improve the techniques to get better images over time. The goal really isn't to go out there and just be like, okay, I'm going to get this amazing image. The goal really shouldn't be that. The goal should be, okay, I'm going to learn the night sky. Or I'm going to take this image and I'm going to learn tracking. Do it step by step, and over time, your images will improve. But don't be disappointed if the images that you're creating don't look like the NASA photos or the professional astrophotography photos. That really isn't the point of getting into this hobby. The point of really getting into this hobby is to learn and appreciate the night sky, and at least for me, to share your love of this hobby with friends, with strangers, in essence with the world, so that people can appreciate what the night sky has to offer. The fourth mistake, and I'll end the video with this, that I've made is really thinking that you have to drive far to get to see things in the night sky. You don't. You really don't. Now it would be preferred that you go to a low light pollution area. I will always say that, and a lot of people in the hobby will say that. Like if you had a magic machine and you could instantly teleport somewhere, most people want to go to a place that has low light pollution because it creates the ease of seeing objects. But most people can't do that. Either they have families or they have jobs. They are unable to go. But that doesn't stop you from appreciating the hobby. You can see plenty of images in high light pollution areas. You can see galaxies, you can see star clusters, you can see planets. Obviously, you can see the sun, you can see the moon. There are plenty of objects in the night sky that are bright enough to see in high light pollution areas. For example, you're able to see the Orion Nebula. You're able to see the Ring Nebula. There are plenty of objects you can see. And it took me a while to learn that, to understand that you don't have to drive or say, well, the lowest light polluted area is 50 miles away, so I need to take some time to do that. No, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You can just see you can see a lot of images from where you're located at. And by doing that, it helped me really to begin to appreciate the hobby. And therefore, for this video, and I'll close with this, that those are the 4 mistakes. Well, I think I said 4. But those are the mistakes that I've made. In essence, to make sure that get a telescope that you're actually going to use, you don't need to go to a low light polluted area to see astronomical objects in the sky. To take advantage of the people in your area who are who are much more experienced in astronomy or astrophotography, because in this community there are so many people willing to help you that you really don't have to feel like you're alone. And set expectations. Don't go out there instantly thinking, "Wow, if I look at an image, it's going to look like I see in NASA photographs." That's not true, because I remember, and I'm sorry to go through storytelling, but I remember when I went out to the star party and I was showing a kid the Andromeda Galaxy. Now, where we were located at, the Andromeda Galaxy visually looks like a blob because it was middle of light polluted area. And the kid looked at it and it was like, "That's it?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's it. That's it. It looks like a blob from here." But see, in the NASA image, you see it looks amazing. So therefore, set expectations. It should be just to see the object, to locate the object, to see the object, and then just slowly improve over time, but understanding that the purpose is not to produce NASA level images. It's to really just appreciate the night sky. And so that was some of the mistakes I made in the very beginning. Stay tuned for the next part, in which I will mention the mistakes that I made when actually having more experience. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you again.